All people, we back. Barkeepers intact. Last week was a battle, but I ain't speaking of that. My vibrations is too high, they speakers is whack. All the naysayers saying they ain't think I could rap. All people, we back. Barkeepers intact. Last week was a battle, but I ain't speaking of that. My vibrations is too hard.
Go hard. Go hard. Represent your squad and go hard. Go
Hello everyone, welcome to Unlock the Bars podcast, and today we're going to be interviewing the amazing artist High Sunday. Hello High Sunday, how are you today?
Hey guys, I'm great. How are you feeling?
We're doing amazing. So let's begin. Where are you from? Tell us a little bit about your story.
I'm physically from San Pedro, California, which is Los Angeles, across the bridge from Long Beach, if that's more familiar of a city to people. But yeah, that's where I'm from physically, and artistically, I mean, my mom was going to huge concerts when I was in her stomach, you know what I mean, before I was born. And so it's built in me, I think. And I've always loved music, and I picked up a guitar when I was 8, and it just kind of, it was ever since then, it was more than just listening and being a fan of music. I've always loved to create.
Now, do you remember when you fell in love with hip hop?
Yeah, so growing up, luckily with my folks, unfortunately, I think you guys have had a little bit rougher of a batch of music to grow up to, or maybe more of a batch, which makes it hard or whatever. But growing up, like literally the first few years of my life, it's just like, it feels like all I could think about is like my mom and pops playing like Motown and Michael Jackson and all of just the great, good old music. But then, yeah, I'm probably like 8, 9 or something like that. And then we got a hold of someone's older sister's Ice Cube cassette, and then from there, like immediately it was like, what is this? And then she had some other stuff. I think there was like an NWA joint in there, and but mainly that Ice Cube thing, man. It was like, this is insane, because like you'd hear like a hint of hip hop through the air, or like commercials, or maybe a music video, like here and there, maybe, right? But it was like not what this was. And especially because when you have the whole cassette tapes, folks, is things before CDs. But anyway, and you could hear like the rest of the songs, and you could hear the uncensored version of the songs. Like, not that being bad was appealing, but this was just like a culture shock, like a shock to the life energy that was like within me, you know what I mean? I was like, this is amazing. This feels completely different. Didn't know that music could do this. And so really, really in love was like really with that West Coast hip hop, and it was an Ice Cube cassette.
Now,
Yeah.
do you think that Ice Cube caused you to start writing rhymes? And when you did start writing rhymes, do you think that you shaped your rhymes based off of the inspiration of Ice Cube's rhymes?
Ooh, that is probably not. So like, that's when I fell in love with it, but I didn't start penning till I didn't start writing rhymes till I was probably like 17, because even though like I was in love with hip hop, I loved all music, you know what I mean? All genres. And so coming up through school, I mean, I was in like 12 years old, I was in like a jazz band. Coming up in school, or in a blues band, I was in a jazz band. Then in high school, I was in like, even though I was like freestyling at lunch and stuff. So I love hip hop, but I was in a typical like high school garage punk rock band, and playing guitar and singing and stuff. And so like I was writing songs then, and the spirit, I always say, like, the spirit of hip hop is just like, it's just like black punk rock to me. It's the same fight, it's the same groundedness, it's the same passion, and so I was writing with that spirit, but not until then, yeah. And then I graduated and went to college, and then it was just like can't do the band anymore. So I started recording and making beats, and then that's when I officially like really started penning, I believe, you know.
Now, speaking of artist inspiration, which artists really inspired you to start writing rhymes or just inspired you in general?
It's gotta be for me, it's like the true creatives, right? Like I don't feel like I'm inspired or none of my like true inspirations when I really think about it, none of it is really someone that came after. So even like an Ice Cube, like that was their first pen of that type that we were really hearing, you know? So that was nuts. Stuff like Bone Thugs. It's like that was the first time that we heard this kind of stuff happen. And I still kind of try to write with that sort of not that my stuff is melodic, not that my stuff is harmonious or anything like that, but I try to write with that level of like zoom out. Let's be a creator of our own. Obviously, like Marshall or Eminem, but like again, that's just because like he did so many things that hadn't had, you know. So like I write from that, and then outside of hip hop, like a Jimi Hendrix, that's again an innovator, true. Like that's the kind of stuff. That's where I write from. Like I never want to write to sound like something or somebody or whatever, you know. And like even like a Biggie is classic, standard King New York rap, but it's like if you really peep his bars, he was really grabbing from a place. Like he was really grabbing from how left field can my bar come from type of situation. That kind of stuff is what inspires me.
Well, how did the name High Sunday come about?
You know, the funny thing is like it's just the name used to be Infamous, and it was it was like spelled weird. It was ENFAMUS, and then like a stage came where I was trying to level up, and then like this manager type homie was like, dude, that name is taken. It's overseas and it's like complete, like there's no way we could ever level up and move this name. So we gotta come up with a new name. So me and the homies were just sitting around, we listed a bunch of stuff. Quotient, I remember, was a finalist. My name's Ike. For the, you know, my name is Ike, and so there was like Ike the Quotient. There was like Ike Diesel was like something that I grew up with. So they were like, bring Ike Diesel back, and just a bunch of stuff was floating around, yo. And then there's like stuff that I was like, we just catchy is cool, you know, and like just High Sunday really was the least explainable, the least meaningable, and it just kind of sound nice and it sound uplifting. Sunday is familiar, you know, it's like end, beginning, all this stuff. So like if I want to, then I could like start putting all kind of meaning and stuff to it. But I'll be real with y'all, it was a name in the bag, and it was simple and it felt the catchiest, you know. And that was just that was where it's at. And then I brought life to it, you know what I mean? But yeah.
No, I like that name because not only is it catchy, but it's also pretty unique too. I've never met someone with the name High and then a day of the week.
Thanks, man. Yeah. That's the goal.
We see you tap into many beats with amazing cadences. Do you have favorite types of beats to rhyme to?
Favorite type, I'm gonna be completely real. My favorite type of beat to rhyme to is something that's going to challenge me. And so if anybody would want to refer to the Super Heru album,
We keep our focus at hand. We see the smoke and we laugh. We put a hole in any foe and roll them up like a taquito. There's so many bags. We hold
Super Heru is myself, friend Bison, and my friend Genesis the God from Instagram. I'm sure if you guys been around, y'all are familiar. We have a group called the Super Heru, and we just put out an album November or whatever. I produced most of that, except for the couple of like boom bap tracks is like the homies pitched in for us, but like all of that weird stuff is me. And so like you'll really get a taste of where I come from as far as like what I really believe in right into is stuff that I feel like should be challenging. if I'm like, yo, I like to write skippity skips to trap beats, it's like somebody already did that. So by the time I catch up, or by the time I make a name for doing that, it's done moved on, you know. And I could do, I like to write to classic New York, boom bap, let's get it. But I'm among gods in that game, notably the Pony Squad, the Star and Lives, and the Show Rocks, and all that. I would rather just be a student of theirs, appreciate the inspiration, but like that's not a lane that I would say that that's my way to go. It's for me, it's something that's challenging, you know. That's what I think, and very instrumental. I like instrumental hip hop beat, like with live instruments and stuff like that, because it allowed me to like dig from from more places, I believe.
I like your variation of beats that you rhyme to because you just elaborated and explained why you like those beats, and especially the boom bap beats. I just liked how you explained it and took the floor.
Thanks, man. Thank you. Yeah, yeah. That's a good question, though. That's a good question. I bet a lot of people in our community, like everyone's so used to just rapping the random beats. You know, Barkeepers is every week is a random, or anywhere. We know all the different places where there's challenges and everything. But I bet there's a lot of our folks who are even top tier MCs who like that question was dumb, and it'd be like, "What kind of beats do you like to rhyme to?" And they'd be like, "Oh, we just been writing weekly, man. I don't know. I'm trying to catch up." So that's a good thing to think about.
Now, how has hip hop been therapeutic for you when you first started rhyming and now as a seasoned artist?
Oh, I mean, it's now it's far more therapeutic, you know. When I started really rapping and really playing shows, it was immediate. It was in college. It was party time, you know, like I was at UC Santa Barbara. That's just like a raging time. Every however many nights a week, just every party's knocking. Everybody loves you. Everyone. So like I don't think that there was so much of like me, to be completely real, like me therapeutic. It was just like I make music and this is banging and let's get it cracking. But now, man, um I literally will like, if there's an issue that feels like, oh, this deserves a therapy session, like I literally will just like try to find what tune. I'll crank through beats, try to find what tune feels like it, and then I'll decide whether or not I feel like writing. Sometimes you just kind of need to vent silently through the beat and just kind of live it, you know. And I felt like let it breathe, let your let your blood flow. But then sometimes it's like, oh, there's something that I need to say as well, you know. And there's people who pay for that kind of therapy, so we can only feel so blessed and so grateful that, like, yeah, man, very much so, very much so, especially for my personal albums, you know, features and barkeepers and stuff that just kind of be bars to keep practicing and keep the motor going running, you know. But for my personal music, yeah, it's straight therapeutic.
And this is a question that just came to my mind. As I was thinking, I was looking at you with your beanie on, and I just wanted to ask, in a lot of your music videos, as I went through your page, I saw that in pretty much every music video that you filmed of yourself, you had your beanie over your eyes. Is there any symbol or message behind that, or is that something that you just decided to do because you thought it was cool?
There is kind of a message. I wish there was something deeper, like the meaning behind High Sunday, because you guys are so intelligent and you guys are so deep, and I'm just like, dude, it just happened, man. Like, it just, but there is kind of a story. For the beanie, I mean, okay, so when I very, you guys remember when the world had ended for a moment there, and that's when I first started rapping on Instagram. Before that, I was like, I'm playing shows in real life and stuff. And to be completely honest, I was like, it's probably kind of corny to be like on Instagram rapping and like doing for the likes and the whatevers, you know. And like I was playing shows, multiple shows in a week and stuff. So, but then the world ended and shows stopped, and and then I really started gaining in respect. I was like, these guys are just playing shows, and I'm like, these guys aren't even repeating songs. They're writing new verses every other day, and so I found a platform, Beach for Bars, who's hosted by Din and Aquaman, for anyone who's familiar. Shout out to them. But they were like, anybody's welcome, pull up. We got beat, blah, blah, blah. So I pull up. And the very first one that I did, I was so proud. Like I had like memorized a fresh verse, and I had set up my selfie cam and kind of figured out how to do it. And I had a beanie on. And I spit it to the camera. And there was a bunch of love, and everyone was like, welcome, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, this is cool. But one person was like, yo, the bars was dope, but it's obvious that you're reading off the side of the camera or whatever. First of all, I would have been like, so what if I was reading? But second of all, I took pride in the fact that I had memorized the joint. And no way I was reading. I wasn't reading anything. And it was like my first troll. He wasn't even trolling, but he was just like, obviously you're reading, whatever. And so it hit me. And then so that next week that I submitted, I pulled the beanie over my face and I was like, no one gonna tell me I'm reading, And that's what it ended up being. So it's not even that deep of a thing. And I tell everyone it's funny because I don't even remember Homeboy's name. Like I wish that I could credit the dude who came up with the thing, or who inspired me to pull the beanie, but I don't even remember his name. And that's not to like shade him or anything. I would love to give him credit, but it's been a lot of Instagram rapping since then. It's been hundreds of posts since then. So yeah. Rapseminar.com. Get these beanies and all kind of other fun stuff.
Well, tell us about Bars Kept and your involvement in that amazing weekly competition platform.
Man, thank you for bringing that up, and welcome. Thank you for pulling up the other week.
These bars turn you to chop suey. I kick. These bars turn you to chop suey. Flows through me, every punch I stick comes with lyrics. I R.I.P. Yes, I rip.
And that was a crazy week. So it's the Barkeepers. The Instagram handle is @barskept. And it's a platform that I came across early in at the beginning when I hopped on Instagram rapping. Like I was going around all platforms, just kind of fill stuff out or whatever. And Barkeepers just kind of felt like, for one, it felt consistent. It was just like once a week, bung, bung, bung. It was reliable. And the one thing that I felt, that it never got smoky. And I was trying to say that because like all the other platforms, at some point, there was always like an ego or something that flies, or somebody takes a shot that may have started as friendly or something, but then something get ugly. And there was always, and I'm cool with that. I'm comfortable with that. I'm a older hip hop head now. Like I'm used to the cypher. I'm cool with the battle. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with it getting dirty. If it's in the name of rap or whatever, you know what I mean? Like I'm about that. But I think the one thing that we failed to realize, or how could we know, is that this is now virtual. And so even though we feel like we are vibing with all of our fellow folks here in our Insta community, you don't know where that person comes from. You don't know what that person triggers are. You don't know if you're allowed to take friendly shots at his raps, or are you allowed to say something about his gear. You don't know if he worked 4 weeks just to buy that gear, just to spit that one rap, and then you just stomped on it. You know what I mean? So this is a weird situation. This is not your homies that you know everything about, that you're comfortable with taking shots here and there or whatever. So I noticed that a lot of these platforms, that tend to happen, and it's bound to happen, and that's fine. Some of them handled it well. Some of them, it got messy, and things are still messy from what I see. But for some reason, the one thing I noticed about the Keepers is that it never really sprung into that energy. It always kind of felt like it was still just everybody in the cipher together or whatever, every week, new beat. And so that's why I love the place. And at week 100, they were going to shut down. Well, I guess first of all, at like week 60 something, there was already a guy doing review shows every Sunday, Barkeeper review shows. His name was Chuck Brown. It was called Chuck's Corner, and I used to watch it. I used to participate in Barkeepers, and I used to watch the review show when it was ill. And then he one week had to duck out, and he made a post, and I was like, man, we made friends in the chat room and stuff, hanging out on Sundays or whatever. So I was like, I'll run a live. I'll just like play all the submissions. I asked Chuck, I was like, you want me to run it, whatever? He was like, sure, do it, man. Keep everyone together. So I like subbed in 1 week. I just ran the submissions. I went over all the stuff. After that, he was like, yo, I can't come back Sundays. There's something about his daughter, blah, blah, blah. So he was like, if you want to keep it going, keep it rolling. And so that was the birth of Sunday on Sunday. Since then, I was doing every Sunday from like week 60. Then about week 100, the founder, D-Cure, his just like life got heavy for him. And when I mean heavy, it's good stuff. If anyone who knows, he's always so busy and making all kind of albums and stuff. But he was like, I'm shutting down the Barkeepers. And people were devastated. And I was devastated, but I was like, it happens, like I get it. But people were devastated. And what had happened was that people started DMing me, because I run the weekly show at that point for so long, that I think that a lot of people thought that I was running Barkeepers. And so people started DMing me with their real heartfelt, sentimental messages about what this means to them on a weekly basis. And I won't put nobody on blast, but it was so real. And I was like, this costs us nothing. There's no way that I could let this fall after seeing this, 20 something DMs of just heartfelt appreciation. And if there's anything we could do to help, or don't let this happen, or this is my weekly therapy, or this is my, like just all of this. So I hit D-Cure and I was like, bro, if you're willing to give me the keys, I'll take over this thing, because I can handle it, or I believe I can handle it. And I love this place. And a lot of other people apparently love it too. And so what are we on? We're on like week 151 right now, but I've been running it since we closed it on week 100, or, almost closed it. So that's the story of the Keepers, man. We're still up. Same thing, weekly, new beat, due on Sundays, new week, new beat Mondays. That's where we at.
Wow, I love your dedication to this, man. It's amazing.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Yeah, I love it. Can't fake this funk. We're doing like 3 and 4 hours on Sundays doing the review show. Like, can't fake that. I truly love it, and truly love being a part of the community for sure.
What was your initial reaction to seeing the album you appeared on, Janky, hit number 25 on the iTunes hip hop charts within its first release day?
Man, you have no idea. I know for some of these guys, they've been on multiple times and stuff. I've been on a couple times, but every single time, like, I'm screenshotting it to my mom. Like, every single time it's like Christmas. It's I will never let it get past me, just because I feel like I feel like the phone and just the pace at which things go, and I don't know, instant gratification and things like that. I think that a lot of things get past us, like the fact that, like, I used to dream of seeing my name on a chart. This is the iTunes hip hop charts. You know what I mean? Like, they don't know bigger than that next, other than like Billboard. So it's like, it's never passed me, and I always make sure to take a second and just really go nuts over the fact that, especially when that happened, because that was like instant. It was like, this is what's happening, like instantly the day of, like the first weekend is not like, yeah, trust me, it's not missed by me, man. If I'm not grateful for those things, like, I don't think that I could maintain the passion when things are not rocking like you want them to rock,
You should definitely be proud of yourself. Number 25 on the first day is an amazing milestone.
Yeah, That's wicked, man. I think like King's Disease 3, there was like a Nas project that was like 3 spots above it. It's like, how am I even in the same realm as that? You know? Yeah, we got to make sure that we're aware of the size of certain things, you know.
Now, reflecting on the first 50 years of hip hop, in your opinion, what were the best and worst moments in hip hop culture?
I think I feel like the best moments for me, and it's not a single moment, but this is like every time this happens, where I feel like hip hop finds itself a new limb, like a new branch of its culture. And I know that a lot of that happens in a bad way as well, which might be my answer to the worst in hip hop as well situation, but in a good way, when it finds a new branch. So when hip hop, you know, uh was was, you know, cut a beat and have a good time with your friends, and it still kind of felt like candy. And then when like a Rakim started speaking, and it was like, oh, this brought it to the ground. Like this brought it really back to the ground in a real way. Like that's a branch. That was a good time. Like when that was happening, or West Coast gangster rap. Like when I experienced that, I got to live that emergence, and I was like, what is this? This is beautiful. And like when things like that, when the South, what I mean? They say the South ain't when that whole explosion happened, it's like, this is here to stay. The South is here to stay. I can't stop referencing that Andre, right? But you could tell that like that's here to stay, and it's something that I'm into and something that I want to like. I'm cool with being a part of this culture. You know what I mean? And it only happens that way because I know at first New York was like, screw this West Coast stuff, like or anybody else. New York probably like this is us, but it took for them to be like, okay, like we shall expand the culture, bong. And then I'm sure that South thing was weird too, and a lot of people had a problem with Rocky being New York, but like sounding having that kind of South situation or what. But eventually, you accept it if it's like the real, if it's righteous, and if it's real. So I like those. I like experiencing like a new branch that like really is now part of the culture, not just a trend, not just a come and go, but now is like, oh, this is us becoming a bigger thing. I guess on the other end of that, worst times of hip hop, obviously there's like deaths of just legends when we don't have to go through that. Those are just terrible times because they're all but most, always too young as well. Extremely young, extremely before their time. We don't have a physical prime that we have to be in hip hop, like you like playing ball or something. So it's just that's always a devastation. But I think more so the worst times of hip hop is I think what is when hip hop has tried to adapt something in order to probably to try to grow another branch, or it's somebody else trying to take from hip hop or adapt from hip hop and make it their own branch, but it's not righteous. The one beautiful thing about hip hop is like it's real, it's righteous, and that and you can't take that from this thing, or I'd wish that you can't take that from this thing. So, anytime hip hop goes pop, it's scary. Anytime hip hop goes in a destructive direction, it's scary. Like when face tats and rainbow hair and like and running up to your ops hood is the cool thing to do. It's scary, and they'll be like, that's what gangster rap was. No, it wasn't. Gangster rap was talking about what's happening on the streets, and it was calling for reformation. It wasn't saying this is cool, let's do this. So yeah, dangerous trends or even just corny or poppy trends that is detrimental to the grand image and the grand purpose of this thing is, I think, the worst times of hip hop collectively.
This is part of the show where we ask guests to unlock the bars, which basically means can you drop a freestyle or a rhyme for us before we go?
Boy, I mean, yeah, of course I can. Which Which should I do? It's called The Lore, man. It's from the Super Heiru album. It's my solo part, and it's kind of just it's just kind of like a speak to him situation. So I'll try to run it. Top of the week to you. I need your undivided when I'm finna speak to you. Don't lose your effing mind and try me. I'm peaceful. When you don't know me, homie, you should hit a yogi and try to find you some inner peace, boo-boo. Top of the norm, I'm not gonna knock. I kick the door with the lock till the knob drop on the floor. I'm harder than gobstoppers galore. And you know that stuff will make me smarter. That's part of the lore. I could never be a square. I'm ball at the core. Even the waves still apparently stop at the shore. Getting paid from hip hop is not what it's for. It's for the pain where we started from, all of us poor. But still the lamest, the artists get marketed more. They try and turn this whole place into Sodom Gomorrah. While to play wicked, stay getting all the awards. What's a fair race when it evolves into war? You know? Like, so I like that one because like it kind of let people know I got, you know, whatever structure and like topically.
Matthew and I give that a round of applause. That was amazing.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. Yeah.
Really quickly, before we go, just drop your social media and just let us know anywhere the fans can find you. Feel free to have the floor.
Okay, I'll keep it easy enough. I do most of the action is found on my Instagram. That's at High Sunday Music. Every Sunday, I got the Barkeepers Review Show. We go 3 hours last week, 4 hours the week before that. It's the most thorough show on the internet, folks. So that is Sunday on Sunday. That's 7 p.m. Pacific times, and that's on my new Twitch channel. And so the Twitch is twitch.tv/High Sunday Please, or just go to Twitch and search High Sunday Please. You could watch all those streams back with the chat running. I love it. That's a fun time. And that is in regards to the platform Barkeepers, and that's at Barskept, BARSKEPT. Every week there's a new beat. Every Monday there's a new beat. Submissions are due Sundays. I talk about them Sunday night. Mondays are the rankings and a new beat. So, and it's been, you know, it's consistent, it's fun, and like I said, it doesn't get ugly over there. You know, we've been consistent about that. So it's a good energy, man. You know.
Well, you heard him, everyone. Make sure to follow him on all of those platforms. Thank you, High Sunday, for coming on to today's interview. We appreciate you for coming on. We hope you have an amazing day. Thank you, everyone, for watching. See you in the next one. Goodbye.
Oh, Young Informed Media, let's go.